Voting Around the World by Raya El-Hajjar. In this video, I will explain the voting systems of the United States, Ireland, New Zealand, Japan, Ecuador, Italy, and Malawi. After that, I will use different criteria to determine which country has the best voting system. To begin, we will start off with the United States. In the US, we use a method called first past the post to determine who represents us in the legislative branch. First past the post means that whoever has the most votes wins. In Wisconsin, this method was used to elect Tammy Baldwin to the United States Senate. Now, let's head over to Ireland. In Ireland, they use a method called instant runoff to elect their president. The instant runoff system lets voters rank candidates instead of just voting for one. The current president of Ireland, Michael Higgins, was elected using this method. Next up is Japan. In Japan, they use a method called single non-transferable voting to elect some members of the House of Councillors. Say that there were 3 seats that needed to be filled. After the votes were counted, the candidates with the 3 most votes would win. Akiko Santo, president of the House of Councillors, was elected using this method. Now, let's go to New Zealand. New Zealand uses a voting system called mixed member proportional voting. Mixed member proportional voting basically says that if a party receives 11% of the vote, they will make up 11% of the parliament. Mixed member proportional voting was also used to elect Trevor Mallard, Speaker of the House. Ecuador is up next. The next clip will explain the Ecuadorian voting system in detail. Note that MEPs are like a U.S. representative.
The complicated bit is deciding how many seats the parties get based on the number of votes they've had, and it is, as you say, done on something called the d'Hondt formula, and I'll try and explain it. And essentially it's a way of spreading the seats as evenly as possible. The effect tends to be that rivals end up closer to each other than they might otherwise. Let me show you the system now, and I'll do this based on the 2004 vote in the Southeast. So we're actually looking at real votes here and a real result from 5 years ago. And here's what happens. You take the part, you look at the numbers of votes here, and we've got the raw numbers of votes here, so you see the Conservatives have got the most. And you take the party with the most votes, you give it an MEP, you then say how many MEPs has it got, and you add the number 1 to that, and then you divide their original starting total by that number. So it'll become clear when I do it now. Let's look at the Conservatives. They're 776,000, right? So they got the most number of votes based on the first reading of all the numbers. So we give them their first MEP. There it is. We now say how many MEPs do they have? Answer 1. We add 1 to it, and we divide their starting total by 2. And they go down. And then we look again for the party with the most number of votes. So you can see the pattern emerging here. Who is it? It's UKIP, 431,000 odd there. So let's give UKIP their first MEP, and again, take them down. So they've got their first one there, and we take them down by their starting total divided by 2. Now we look again, and this will just reinforce the method here, because we now see the Conservatives have, once again, the most number of votes, even though their original total was halved, 388,000. So what we're going to do here, we're going to give them another MEP. When we do that, we divide the starting total by the number of MEPs, now 2, plus 1. So, give them the MEP, there it goes, and their total goes down by the original starting total divided by 3. So you see the system here. Next party, Lib Dems, take their vote down, give them the MEP. Who is it after that? Let's see. Well, it's now Labour. So Labour on about 300,000. That's right, they go down, they get an MEP there. And then we are back with the Conservatives there, 258,000. Again, give them another MEP. There it goes. Divide their original starting total by the number of MEPs, 3 plus 1. So divide their starting total by 4. Hope you're following this. UKIP are the next party. Do the same for them. And then we have the Conservatives again. There we go. So they've got 4. Now, interesting moment for the Green Party here. They now have 173,000. They are in the lead on the raw totals that we can see in front of us. So we're going to give the Greens their first MEP. Here it goes. And you divide their original starting total of 173,000 by the number of MEPs, which is 1 plus 1, so by 2. And they go down there to, what is it, about 86,000. And then one more MEP, because there's only 10 to go round in the southeast of England. And it's the, let's see, it's the Liberal Democrats there. So you halve their total, you give them the MEP, and basically that's how the D'Hondt system works.
This method of voting was used to elect Elizabeth Cabezas, who was the president of the National Assembly. Now, let's go to Italy. In Italy, they use a method called general ticket voting to elect some members of the regional council. General ticket voting means that you vote for a party instead of a single candidate. This system was used to elect Fermi Alessandro, president of the Lombardy Regional Council. Next, let's head to Malawi. In Malawi, they use a method called the two-round voting system. The two-round voting system is what it sounds like. There are 2 rounds of voting. If one candidate does not receive enough of the vote, a second round is needed. Keep in mind that this system is not used if a candidate wins a simple majority. President of Malawi, Lazarus Chakwera, was elected using this method. Next, we will be looking at which of these 7 countries has the best voting system by examining a wide range of criteria. First, we will look at voter turnout. At first glance, we can see that the United States has the lowest average voter turnout, with Ireland just a few points ahead. In the lead, we have Ecuador, with New Zealand and Malawi not far behind. Having a variety of political parties shows that many people are given a voice. Looking at the data, we can see that Malawi is in the lead, with Italy and Japan far behind. At the bottom, we find the US and Ireland. There is lots of criteria that we could use to determine the best voting system in the world, but there is not sufficient and accurate data for most of them. The evidence that I could find says that the winners are Ecuador and Malawi. To view my works cited page, go to rebrand.ly/votingaroundtheworld. In this video, I hoped to give you a basic understanding of some of the different voting systems. However, I have barely scratched the surface. To dive deeper, go to rebrand.ly/learnmorevoting. Thanks for watching!